you doing? I'm so glad to be here today.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
You know what? I'm gonna tell you, Jay. When I look around, the
Yeah.
first time we were here, I was like, how many times I've come here and
Right.
didn't pay enough attention to the architecture, the
Yes.
detail
Yes.
that is up in this building. I mean,
It's so beautiful,
it is.
exquisite. It's actually a very emotional moment for me. I like to, go down this little trail. Years ago, my grandma flew from New York and she took me to my first big production, and it was here.
Wow.
And so I remember her getting the tickets and saying, "Boy, let's go dream." And so to be here now in the room, and she, passed in 2020, but
Mhm.
I know she's looking down, and to sit in a seat like this and have a conversation and talk about the moments that are happening today, it's just overwhelming. And I'm not gonna cry, but I want to cry because I worked so hard and I wanted her to see this. And I remember walking through the room and us taking our seats, and she said, "You need to be in rooms like this. It's
Mhm.
important that you see something beautiful and always look at something that's ahead that is beautiful." So I'm grateful to be in the room today, Trae.
Oh
I'm
my
so
goodness.
grateful. It's
I
amazing.
mean, when you talk about family legacy,
Yeah.
obviously for me, the last time I was here on the very last show,
Yeah.
my parents actually surprised me because
Wow.
really I was like, Mom, and Dad, you guys know I'm at the Paramount, right? And they're like, oh yeah, we, good congratulations. They were literally being like, oh, good for you.
Uh-huh.
We're so proud of, like,
Yeah,
they weren't
yeah.
gonna come, and I was like, we have a live
A
studio
live
audience
studio
every single
audience
day,
here. Yeah.
right? And so when they showed up on that Friday,
Oh.
I was like, oh, and so Mom was like, I was holding it in all week. We were so excited. You know what I mean? And really, my dad at that point in time, he wasn't coming out a lot. He had health
Wow.
issues, so he was
Yeah.
at the house often. So when I kind of was like, okay, maybe I expected my mom,
Yeah.
but then my dad came around the corner, and I
Ooh.
was like, oh,
Overwhelmed.
I mean, I'm telling you. And so, with my dad passing
Mm.
at the end of July, really, for me, this is such a huge deal, right?
Yes.
To be back
Yes.
here, name on the marquee again.
Yes.
I'm like, I know that, just like you said with your grandma, I know my dad is looking down saying, there you go, baby girl.
Yes.
Keep on
Go.
pushing. And I'm not gonna cry either, but that is so important as
Yeah.
we think about the legacy that we
Yeah.
step in. And that kind
Mhm.
of brings me to where you are. Cause I mean, we know about the Dry Project. You're
Right.
doing great work,
Thank
Jay.
you. Thank you.
Tell us a bit about this new season on PBS. Just tell us.
I'm so grateful. This is the second season with KCTS9 PBS, and the show is called KCTS Presents. It's all the international shows that are from all over the world, and so I get to be the television host along with my co-host. But this was different because the first season you're handed the script and then you just read the script.
Yeah.
This time they said, you know what? Because we talked about making Black America. So we're talking about Frederick Douglass. We're talking about Harriet Tubman. And they said, we want to give you the opportunity to write. That, sitting there watching the documentaries and being able to put my thoughts on paper, and then you walk to set and you read your thoughts out loud, it was just so real to me. And so to have that opportunity in this season was just so overwhelming. It was great to work with the directors, Jeremy Croft, and the producers. And so I'm just so thankful that this season gives a little bit of a broader perspective, a bigger perspective on just what America was like then and how they were able to overcome certain things. And because of the price they've paid, we're able to sit in seats like this today. And so the show is doing well. It's on PBS. It's airing constantly throughout the day. And I'm so thankful for it. I'm thankful.
I mean, Jay, that is huge.
Yeah.
That really is huge. And really, when we talk about being able to infuse your perspective
Yes.
in it, that's something that I really appreciate about Converge.
Yes.
Because people, I've heard it so many times that when they come to the studio, they're like, we thought you guys had a teleprompter or something. Like,
Right,
how are you
right.
doing this?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I had enough people say that I was like, yeah, like actually,
Mhm.
we do it different, but it's because we are infusing ourselves in everything that we do here
Right,
at Converge.
right,
And
right.
just being in the room over this past weekend, I know we
Yes.
got to talk about it because we were right there.
Yeah.
Joyce Taylor, Essex
Oh.
Porter, Black Voices Matter.
Yes.
It was a phenomenal discussion they were able to have. But one thing that I really took away was being able to really connect with them afterwards, right?
Yeah.
And what I said to Essex, I said, look, people say journalists, and I almost sometimes shy away from it, and I
Right,
tell
right.
them I'm more like a media personality, because I am opinionated, and
Yeah,
I don't come with this kind of generalistic viewpoint. I'm like, this is who I am. I'm
yeah.
infusing myself in everything that we cover, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's news, community, or whatever. And he said, no, 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 no. He said, journalism has a wide range.
Yes, it does.
It is
Yes, it does.
broad in its
Mm-hmm.
perspective. He said, you are a journalist because you're upfront about the fact that you're going to infuse yourself in it.
Yes,
You're not
exactly.
hiding that. And it struck me. I
Yeah.
just wanted to ask you, because you were there in studio. Tell us a bit about some of the moments that really struck you this past weekend.
I think what was so amazing, I grew up watching, the legend Essex Porter and still watch, Joyce Taylor. And so to finally walk in and be that close to people that have worked so hard to tell the stories that we need to hear, I was so inspired to continue my journey. And, Essex said it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy, especially being one of the first. I remember Mount St. Helens, and, I wasn't born yet, but I studied that in school.
Yeah.
And to know that he was like the first to be out there talking about it, all of that taking place. And then he continued on with politics and going forth. And it just wasn't easy. He said, but I got up and I kept going. And so that's encouraging to me, doing what I'm doing, with the podcast and stuff like that. And he was like, keep going. I want to sit down with you. I'm like, you want to sit with me?
Yeah.
Me? What do you mean? And he's like, I want to sit down with you and just hear your heart on what do you see for the future? And that was one of the questions. What do you see for us in the next 15 to 20 years? He said that we would tell the stories, you would see more representation. And so I'm so grateful for Converge, that allows me to be in this space and to sit around great people like that. So it was overwhelming, and it was amazing, but it was tangible for the first time from the screen to actually sitting right there. It was just phenomenal.
I agree. And I think that when we talk about the impact that the work that we have, that for me is everything. And when people say, well, what is your dream? And I just say, I have to continue creating and crafting impact media.
Yes.
Right. And,
yes.
and so one of the things that he also said that it just struck me was, even when he may be the only one in the room, he has to be the one to bring it about, right?
Yeah.
And that's okay. Maybe they won't accept everything, but at least now they're thinking different because of what I've added to the conversation. And I really take that on because, this weekend, as I was at my son's football game for the CD Panthers, shout out to the whole Panthers crew. I mean, we were out there in the rain, and shout out to Converge. Converge was out there in the rain.
Right.
But I'll say that you witness the outpouring of community love and the way that the other teams have really created these opportunities to give love to Kiana Pickett, as her husband, Devon was just recently murdered.
Yes.
The idea of what community means and how it's so important for those young folks to have representation, like what we're doing here, like what you're doing on PBS and what you're doing with your podcast. This is so important in terms of us really being stewards of crafting that impact media. Tell us a bit about what that means to you, because you're doing a lot of different projects and you talk about the influence of your grandmother. But, as you think about the next generations and what we're doing today, how it's maybe paving the way for more opportunities like this for those who come after us. That's important. Tell us a bit about your perspective.
What's interesting to me is I just had a conversation with the director, and there's two ways to look at it. You can look at it as, well, I'm the only one that's in the room that is my color skin. And it's like, oh, I don't know if I should say something. But then at the same time, I'm the only one in the room. I have opportunity. And so it's all about perspective. And so I'll never forget, he said something to me. He said, Jay, you don't know what little boy, what little girl, who's watching the screen and they see you and they go, oh, so I can do it too. It's not just about you. It's bigger than you. And so I always think about when I do my episodes or I'm doing a show, I think to myself of reaching the one. I can't reach the world all at once, but I can reach the one. And that one will tell someone else. And all of a sudden your world begins to grow because you're focusing on, can I just connect with that one person? That one person is going to tell somebody else. And there was something on Instagram one time, they said, nobody watches your stuff. And then somebody said, no, there's someone watching. And all you need is one person to see, and it begins to change the world. And so I think it is very important for us as people that you get up and show up and do the work,
Yeah.
because you don't know who's on the other side. And it's so much bigger than you. And I also have this mindset of your gift will make room for you.
Yeah.
There will come a day where, because you have done so much in the dark, working on your gift, working on your craft, that one day when you show up in the right space, that's the key. When you show up in the right space and your gift is received, your gift will precede you and you won't have to do as much, because what you've worked on so hard will just explode before so many people. And so I think of the work that I do today of, even when you feel like people are not watching, someone's going to see it.
Yeah.
And so just continue to do the work on yourself, because on the other side of that, the world is so big. The world is so great. So I tell people, if you stop, you are holding up somebody else's blessing, because you stop, because you can be a blessing. You can be a gift to somebody else. So that's why I do what I do. I think of the children. I think of my own children. I think of people that are all around that. You know what? If you just think about that one person that maybe is sitting on the edge of their bed, maybe sitting on the edge of their couch, like, what should I do? And they see your gift. They see what you're doing. All of a sudden, it opens up their mind to dream again. That's what my grandma did for me. She wanted to do shows. She wanted to be interviewed. So she invested in me. And I was like, I don't know what you see, Grandma, but now I look at today, and I'm so thankful for being pushed. She saw something bigger. So that's when I see the work that I do. I see something bigger, and I think of the other person on the other side. So it's important.
That's so beautiful. And that
important.
perspective is so necessary, Jay. My mom has this running joke, and she says it to everyone. And every time she says it, I cringe a little. And she's like, Trae, I want to be you when I grow up. and I say, oh my gosh, Mom. But we've actually broken that down, and she's talked to me about why and how she's so inspired to be like, oh my God, you're unapologetic. You've been you've done it, and now you're continuing to do it in big, theaters like this.
Yes.
It's so impactful. And I also think when we were talking, there's a song, and it really is almost a mantra for me, and it's grind, eat, sleep, wake up. Grind, eat, sleep, wake up. Like every single day, when you talk about, putting your all into something, that's how it has to be for me all the time.
All the time.
And when those opportunities come and I start giving less of myself, I say, okay, I need to think about what's the next thing for me.
Yes.
Because you gotta grind, eat, sleep, wake up. Jay, every time we get to talk, it's a beautiful time. I want to make sure you let folks know how to catch up with you and the projects you have going on. Look right there. Let them know how to catch up with you.
You can find the Drive Project podcast on Spotify, on Apple, of course, on convergemedia.com. It's available on SoundCloud. You can follow me at J Martin Jr. on Instagram and Facebook. You can catch me on KCTS9 here in Seattle. You can also stream it on kcts9.com for PBS. And I'm just overwhelmed and thankful to anybody that supports the work that we do and that I do. And I'm just looking forward to growing together. So.
Absolutely, Jay. Always a pleasure.
Always a good time.
Thank you for being here with me at the Paramount. I appreciate
can you believe it? We're here.
Oh my God. I told y'all the conversation was going to continue.